This is Mariner Baseball from Safeco Field in Seattle. Game 2 of the Boston Red Sox. And Iwakuma's first pitch to Daniel Nava's up high for ball 1. Welcome, everybody. Dave Sims, Mike Blowers, and the Root Sports crew. As you look at the umpires, Jim Joyce, Corey Blazer, Jeff Nelson, and Ed Hickox. 79 degrees here at 7:10 on the first pitch. Iwakuma, the ERA leader in the American League, behind 2-0 to Daniel Nava. Nava tonight in left field, started in center field for the first time in his big league career, and a tough night. The unmistakable sound of Jim Joyce behind home plate. Two balls and one strike to Nava. Went 2 for 5 with an RBI last night. 3-1. On deck hitter Sheen Victorino did not play last night. Day to day with a hamstring, so good to go tonight. Count now on Nava. First career appearance for Iwakuma against the Red Sox. The only other team he needs to face now is Kansas City, and he'll see everybody in the American League. And Game of Thrones T-shirt king in the coma. Featured tonight. Dad and son having a good time here at the ballpark. As Nava looks at strike 3 called. Take a look at the rest of the batting order for the Red Sox.
Nava with a strikeout looking. Then it will be Victorino. Pedroia hitting third. And then how about David Ortiz? A 318 average for him. 338 against the West with 7 home runs and 25 RBIs. Had a couple of hits in last night's game. And it's Napoli, Salto Lamacchia, Iglesias, Holt. Jackie Bradley getting his first start. He's rounding out the 9-4 of the Red Sox. For Iwakuma on the year, 7-4 record, as Dave mentioned, leading the league in ERA, 2.60 for Iwakuma.
Flying Hawaiian Shane Victorino has been traveled after a long stint with the Phillies, then to the Dodgers, now with the Red Sox.
Good breaking ball. For Iwakuma, he's given up 4 earned runs in each of his last 4 outings. And he typically throws a lot of strikes. The quality of the strikes have been more in the middle of the plate, and it's hurt him.
Back up the middle, Brad Miller's there. Throws out Victorino, who you can see is not at full strength. 2 down.
T-Mobile defense tonight. Ibanez is getting the start in left field. Ackley didn't play last night. He's out in center. Michael Saunders moves from center into right field. Kyle Seager at third. Miller and Franklin playing up the middle. Justin Smoke is at first base, and Mike Zunino will do the catching.
Can't dial it up any better than this. Got to be the best weather in the country right now these last few days here in Seattle. Dustin Pedroia going to the All-Star game again, the number 2 hitter in the American League. He's at 320, 5 home runs, 50 runs batted in. He's second to Miguel Cabrera, who started today, leading the league at 364. Right field for Michael Saunders, battling the sun, is there. Iwakuma, slow start against Nava, struck him out, eventually throws 11 pitches. And we hope to see a lot of this for Iwakuma tonight, getting it rung out by Jim Joyce. Nothing across for the Red Sox. The Mariners coming to bat. His 11th game and making himself feel right at home in the leadoff spot for the Mariners. Take a look at the rest of the Mariner batting order tonight against Allen Webster.
Tonight's starting line is brought to you by Chevron. Miller will lead off. Then it'll be Nick Franklin. Ibanez, what a first half of the season he has had. 22 home runs for Ibanez. Morales, Seager, Justin Smoke. See what he's done since he's come off the DL. A .339 average with 4 home runs and 9 RBIs. Had a couple of hits in last night's game. Then it's Saunders, Zunino, and Dustin Ackley will hit 9th. Allen Webster, 5 starts on the year, a 1-2 record, high ERA, 7.88 ERA. In 24 innings pitched, he has 19 strikeouts but 12 walks. It's too many walks for him. He's given up 5 home runs, and opponent's average at .319. Again, good fastball. He'll be 93, 94, can top out at 98. Has a good changeup. Still working on a breaking ball.
So popped up in the infield. Third baseman Brock Holt takes it, 1 out.
Take a look at the defense for the Red Sox. In the outfield, Nava moves from center. He'll be in left. Bradley Jr. is in center field. Shane Victorino out in right. And on the infield, Holt at third. Jose Iglesias, slick fielding shortstop for the Red Sox. Pedroia and Napoli on the right side of the infield. And Salta Lamacchia will do the catching tonight.
On action in the pen, as per usual here during all the great homestands, as the weather has been spectacular, and a lot of those folks have been there since batting practice. They've had a good couple of hours here at the ballpark already, as Nick Franklin takes a strike. Franklin just behind Kyle Seager, number 2 batting average on the ball club at .284. Back up the middle, and it gets through. Base hit for Nick Franklin. Good top spin, got it through.
Gets a fastball, 93 miles an hour. Take a look at our McDonald's Supermo in the swing of Nick Franklin. Always leading with the knob of the bat, gets the barrel to the ball and is able to hit it back up the middle. This pitch is a fastball away from it, but stays on it.
The one-out base runner, the man of the season right now for the Mariners, Raul Ibanez, 22 home runs, 51 runs batted in. 2 for 5 last night. Scorching run he's on right now. Looks at a strike. Got a 13-game hitting streak working. In that span of time, hitting .364, 12 runs, 8 homers, 15 runs batted in. Behind 0-2.
Those home runs have meant something for the Mariners too. 22 home runs, 12 of them have either given the Mariners the lead or tied the game. So they've been clutch home runs. Take a look at his numbers overall in the 13-game hitting streak, a .364 average for him.
0-2. Put it in play into the shift. And safe as Raul got down that line hard. That was a pretty interesting double play. That was a 5-6 fielder's double play attempt, a 5-6 fielder's choice. That was Brock Holt who made that play.
Well, they had the shift on. We saw this yesterday. Good slide by Franklin. Goes in hard to Iglesias. Ibanez just beats it out. There's Holt, the third baseman, on the second base side of the bag, and Ibanez again beating it out. Good slide by Franklin.
Sorry, and Iglesias does a heck of a job to get down, not to get hit,
yes,
to mess it up. Here's Morales. So 7 pitches, 7 strikes. Mariners have swung at 5 of the first 7 pitches from young Allen Webster. Lamacchia blocks it. Morales has been very steady for the Mariners. 11 home runs, 48 runs batted in. Felix Hernandez, outstanding performance last night. Mariners got it from run support. Henry Blanco on the left, Franklin Gutierrez on the right. 1-1 pitch.
And that was a good changeup we had heard about from Webster. Throws a lot of fastballs, but his changeup, that's his out pitch. And he threw a good one to Morales. There you go, 86 miles an hour.
Popped out of play. Webster came over from the Dodgers with James Loney, Ivan De Jesus, player to be named later. A couple players. It was De La Rosa and Sands. That's when Boston sent Josh Beckett, Carl Crawford, Adrian Gonzalez, and Nick Punto to L.A. last August 25th. Carl Allen Webster out of Greensboro, North Carolina, lives in Madison, North Carolina, 6'2", 190. Two and two to Morales. We mentioned earlier in the opening, he's got a little mean streak to him. Allen Webster's been ejected twice down at AAA Pawtucket. Both ejections came after hitting batters. Stay loose. Fly ball deep, left field. Long run, going back. Gone! A two-run homer. Kendrys Morales goes opposite field. And the Mariners another first-inning home run. It's 2-0 Seattle. For Morales, his 12th home run, RBIs 49 and 50. Gave it a big ride.
That makes 23 first-inning home runs for the Mariners this year. That is the best in Major League Baseball. Take a look at Morales taking advantage of some warm weather. Hits this ball out to left field, gets a fastball. It's a good carry on it as it goes out into the Red Sox bullpen. Get our McDonald Supermo. Let the ball travel, let it get deep into the hitting area and barrel it up.
A bunch of the Red Sox were asking how things were playing here with the fences moved in. I said, hey, now that the summer's here, it's like anywhere else. You hit it, you're going to get rewarded.
Yes.
The old field dimensions, that would not have left the yard. It probably would have banged or possibly banged off the fence. But in the here and now, that's a two-run jack. Thank you very much.
Another good stat for the Mariners. 17 games in a row with at least one home run.
That's home run number 106 for the Mariners. Fourth in the American League, sixth in the major leagues. 2-0.
Justin Smoke waiting on deck. He's been a hot hitter. Had a good night last night. Drove in a couple of runs for the Mariners.
3-0 to Seager. There's a strike. Seager coming off a 1-for-3 last night. A couple of runs scored. Get down to the first baseman, Mike Napoli. Smothers it and takes it to the bag. But a great start for the Mariners. A two-run homer by Kendrys Morales and an early lead on the Red Sox, who have the best record in the American League. Kendrys Morales, look at the home run. Look where it lands. It's a new way to say, I just called to say I homered. It hit the bullpen phone for Mr. Morales' 12th home run. Pretty good landing there. Dave Sims along with Mike Blowers, and joined by Mariners Hall of Famer Dan Wilson. Good to see you, Dano.
Thanks, David. Good to be here. Beautiful night for baseball,
I'll say.
How about the Mariners with all the home runs in the first inning?
Wow.
23rd home run in the first inning this year.
Yeah, that one hit the other way, too. Great at bat by Kendrys Morales. How about the hustle by Raul to keep that inning alive, give Morales a chance to get the 2-run homer?
Here's David Ortiz. Yeah, we've noticed that we talked about almost every night. Mike and I see him, he's busting it out of the gate every time. 5th leading hitter in the American League, Ortiz at .318.
Mariners with the shift on the infield. Brad Miller swung around to the right side. You can see Nick Franklin out there in the grass in right field. Ortiz just hit it through the shift a couple of times in last night's game.
And what your supposition last night, 3-0, that he's trying to leave the yard? I asked him about it. He says, oh, yeah, but he said the pitch that he hit was bearing down on him coming down and in, but he was definitely trying to leave the yard.
Yeah, that was the good news for Felix, is he was able to keep it down with some pretty good sink to it. But
3-0 was at first at bat.
Yeah, it is.
The big boy act.
He's having a good first half of the season.
And the all-star team again.
Yep, 17 home runs.
Red Sox in a 3-game losing skid right now. Hit well, deep right field and gone. David Ortiz, his 18th homer, 62nd RBI, got it on a 3-1 pitch.
Well, that'll let you know you want to stay out of those triple counts. 3-0, 3-1, 2-0. Especially if you're going to throw him a fastball, you're going to have to locate it still. And that pitched too much of the plate, and he hit it out of here, and it left in a hurry. We'll take a look at it. It's a fastball from Iwakuma. Middle of the plate.
They're trying to go in there 3-1, but it did run onto the middle of the plate. And he's got such bat speed in there, Blow, and just pulls his hands in, and so strong.
He may sit on his backside better than most. I think that's. I remember when he first came to the big leagues, he was talking about having trouble with that pitch, and now he just kind of sits back there. So you take a look at this. Hits by designated hitter. Edgar Martinez is third, and you can see Ortiz second behind Harold Baines.
Closing in on Harold. Mike Napoli, the hitter, 1-1. Bat. Seager hung in. Miller almost got hit. 1 out.
Kyle looked like he was going to make sure there was clearance first, though. That's a big barrel going out there at him. Let's take a look at this. Iwakuma just throws a saw blade up there and cuts his bat in half, but the barrel will go right out there in between Miller and Seager and Kyle, who typically is pretty aggressive at third, sat back to make sure he knew where the barrel of this bat is going to end up, and then he'll come in hard, field the ground ball. But you can see how far back he is.
Boy, who wins the race, the bat or the ball?
I can't blame Kyle on that one.
More carry on the bat. My goodness.
You see Miller, when the bat hits the ground, almost came up, takes a piece out of him.
Oof. Scary. Jared Saltalamacchia. Oh, 2 to Salta. He went 1 for 4 with an RBI last night. Got a RBI double in the 8th inning. Mariners win last night, convincing fashion, 11-4. Felix Hernandez ended a run of 3 consecutive no decisions with his 9th victory. 1-2. And it's catch. You got to like catching somebody like this guy. He's got great control.
Yeah, Kuma just does such a great job getting ahead and then using that movement off the plate, trying to get that chase. But I think the thing that we've all loved about Kuma is he's kept the ball down so well this first half, and it's been hard to get the ball in the air on him.
Here's a 2-2. Foul ball.
I think that's what makes his split so effective too, Dan, because we see so many guys that split in the dirt and they chase it, but it's really set up by his fastball that he keeps at the knees or maybe just above the knees, because the split coming out of his hand looks like it's going to be in the hitting area and then the bottom drops out of it. But it's really set up by his fastball, right?
Yeah, he establishes that he's going to throw fastballs down in the zone. It's got the good movement. He throws strikes down at the bottom of the zone so they can't take it, and they know they have to be aggressive down there, and he gets a lot of swinging strikes on that split.
And that was a good fastball right there where you were talking about, Dan, right there at the bottom of the strike zone.
Full count to Saltalamacchia. A run in on the home run by Ortiz. Jose Iglesias, the shortstop's on deck. It's a base hit. Tying runs aboard. More good weather coming up as we check out our CenturyLink link to what's next. Felix Doubront will take on Aaron Harang. Aaron with a record of 4-7. He was outstanding pitching back in his old stomping grounds of Cincinnati over the weekend. Said he got out on the mound. He says, "Oh yeah, this is nice. Okay, I'm feeling home. This is great." All familiar surroundings. All the security guys, ushers, so many familiar faces for him going back to Cincinnati. There's a strike to Iglesias. Mariner fans booing the "Let's Go Red Sox" cheers. Talking to a couple. Jason Phillips, he said out in the bullpen there was a lot of "Let's Go Red Sox," and Robbie Thompson said he didn't like hearing it from the dugout. So nice to hear the Mariner fans out cheer the Red Sox fans. Base hit Iglesias.
And I think that's just good hitting by a hot hitter. Iglesias coming into the game hitting .387. This is a well-located breaking ball. It is down and away, but he stays with it and able to serve it into left field.
Sometimes luck is a little bit of the factor below, because he didn't hit that ball hard. He just got off the end of the bat just enough to get it over the infield. As a pitcher, kind of just chalk that up.
Here's Brock Holt. He's been up here in the major league since Saturday. Third baseman. Went 1 for 3 last evening.
Well, Dan, do they really chalk it up, or when they come in after the inning, do they go to their catcher and start complaining about the bad luck?
Well, it's always the catcher's fault.
On the Holt. Mariners could use a double play. Seager passes up the play at second. Gets the batter Holt for out number 2.
Well, there wasn't a chance to turn to, and I think for Kyle, just making sure he gets the sure out. 2 outs in the inning now. And you have the number 9 hitter coming up.
Just called up today, Jackie Bradley Jr. Started the season with the Red Sox. A lot of people noted a great couple of at-bats he had against CC Sabathia. He was in Lehigh Valley, PA, near Allentown last night. Got the call at 2:20. He told me 2:22 a.m. I get a call. He coming back to the show. Got a 7 a.m. flight, Lehigh Valley to Chicago. 2-hour layover there. 4.5 hours to Seattle. Landed here 12:30 local time. He couldn't be happier being back. John Farrell said he's an exceptional defender. And for a guy about 5'9", maybe 5'10", he's got pretty good pull power. There's John in his first year. Last 2 seasons he was a skipper at Toronto.
Considering what was going on in Boston the last few years, I would say this first half has been a success for him.
Oh, unbelievable.
54 wins.
Last year under Bobby Valentine, they go 69 and 93. And you look at all the offensive categories, they're rather low, and they're rather high right now. Torey Lovullo, bench coach Greg Colburn, the Bull Juan Nieves, Arnie the Yeller, and Brian Butterfield.
Torey Lovullo, also a former Mariner.
2-1 Mariner lead, 2 outs and an 0-2 count to Bradley. David Ortiz has the Sox on the board. Leadoff homer on a 3-1 pitch here in the second, his 18th homer. Sox have runners at second and third, 2 out.
Well, we showed you the average with Iwakuma, 2 outs, runners in scoring position. It was right at 100. Opposing hitters hitting 100 off of him in these situations. And he is ahead in the count, 0-2. There's plenty of room to work. Throw a couple pitches off the plate, see if he can get Bradley to chase it.
Bradley played for the USA Baseball's collegiate national team in 2010. South Carolina guy, University of South Carolina Gamecock. On the 2010 national championship team, hit .368. He's an outstanding player and all tournament team at the College World Series. One and 2.
That was a good pitch. Tried a couple of breaking balls, throwing him at his back foot. Bradley fouling him off, and throw a pitch off the plate away, see if you can get him to chase it.
Dave, that would have meant that Mike Zunino would have played against him in college. Probably has a pretty good idea how to pitch him.
And he shares the alma mater with first baseman Justin Smoke, who's also a Gamecock.
When you get new players in the big leagues and you don't know too much about them, Dave, you'll take any kind of old information you can get.
You bet. Long look by Iwakuma. 1-2 pitch.
Well, we've seen this a lot from him. Elevated fastball, fouled straight back. Probably a split. Come back with a split, put him away.
Two outs, 2 on, 1-2 pitch.
You're right, Mike. He did a pretty good job to spoil that pitch, but changing eye level, running that fastball up top, and then coming back with that split. You know, we talked about Iwakuma commanding that lower part of the strike zone, and you want to run one up in the top just to get their eyes to see something different. Then you go right back to it, but Bradley Jr. doing a nice job of fouling it off.
And one of the things that Iwakuma had done so well up until about 4 games ago, Dan, is that high fastball. He would throw right at the top of the strike zone. It's been leaving a couple of them down a little bit, and it's hurt him.
1-2 pitch. It foul again.
Another split. Good one. He's putting up a fight. I think for Iwakuma, he was so effective with that high fastball, and was always in that borderline area, but a hitter can't quite get to it, doesn't want to take it. And then they feel that they have to rush a little bit, and that's where that split comes in, that he would normally bury it in the dirt.
Strike 3 call. Heck of a pitch by Iwakuma to finally retire Bradley on the 10th pitch. Gives up a home run. It's 2-1 Mariners. And coming up in the Mariners' home second, Justin Smoke, Michael Saunders, and Mike Zunino, all big contributors last night. Time for a little Ask the Booth here. How long did it take Big Poppy to get around the base paths? Sean McKillop wants to know. Well, we got the sundial out. And we took a look, and Mr. Ortiz took the grand tour, as Paul Olden used to say. Took his time about it. Took a couple smiles, wave. Didn't sign any autographs. It took him 30 seconds. And he has 7 of the 10 slowest times this season. But when you're producing like that, you know what? You can do it. And there's a website that caters. It's called Tater Trots. That is too funny. Any time all that. He's got 7 of the 10 slowest. Todd Helton is the slowest, I'm told. 31.54 seconds. What don't they measure in baseball anymore? Right?
Oh,
Michael was totally amazed.
I think the first time that I saw something like that was actually a teammate of mine at the time when I was with the Yankees, and that was Mel Hall.
Oh, yeah.
He hit a home run in the Metrodome, and he made all the highlights, and it was just because of how long it took him to go around. They put a clock on him.
You go and have a meal, and he hadn't crossed home plate yet, right?
It was actually pretty great. I enjoyed it.
Well, you like me.
Of course you did. No, he was on your team.
Well, the reason why is because they've been throwing at him.
Oh, I got you. So he
and then they finally decided to pitch to him one time, and he hit it off the back wall of the Metrodome and let everybody know about it. Payback.
He had some good.
It was great. But, the point of it is, it took him forever to get around.
The longest one you've ever seen.
Yeah.
You enjoyed playing with him, didn't you?
Well, yeah. That was a good group of guys. They were a bunch of veteran guys for me, a young kid at the time trying to figure it out. Learned a lot there.
And you also said he was one of the strongest guys you were ever around?
Yeah. Well, he and Dave Winfield was on that team. That's a strong man too. Yeah.
Didn't have too many people. Didn't Mel charge somebody one time? You guys get into it one time?
Well, that was part of it. That was in the Metrodome, and I can't remember the kid that they had pitching. Get through there. There you go. He's hot.
Justin Smoke.
When things are going your way, and those 55 hoppers will work their way through the infield for you.
Absolutely.
But Mel, it was the same series in the Metrodome. You probably remember Brian Harper, the catcher for the Twins.
Yep.
They had a kid out there, and we got into this little beanball thing, and Mel was getting in the batter's box, and he looked out. I think his name was Parker. The kid's name was Parker. But anyway, Mel turned around and looked at Brian, and he said, I know this kid doesn't want to throw this pitch at me. Mel gets in there, the kid throws it, but he throws it like 15 feet over his head.
Right.
So Mel gets back out. He starts laughing. When he's getting back in the box, he says something again, and Harper stood up, took his mask off, and they went right there. It was a classic, too. Some big boys going at it at home plate. I think I was in the big leagues for about 2 weeks, too, and I thought, man, this league is awesome.
Michael Saunders stands in. He had a great night last night, 2 for 4. 2 runs scored, knocked in 3 with a couple of doubles.
It's good to see a lot of Mariners have a good night last night, Danny.
Yeah, boy, I tell you what, they busted out some big hits, and I think, getting those hits with runners in scoring position.
Well, I thought the biggest one, too, because it's just been highlighted a lot, was with Justin and his struggles with runners in scoring position. And it was great to see him when he ended up getting a big base hit for him to drive in a run, hitting right-handed. When he hit was a double, and when he got into second base, you could see him clap his hands together because he could feel it, too. As a player, and he was pretty excited about it. And then he picked up another one later in the game, so that was good to see. Mariners was 6 for 21 with runners in scoring position last night.
And for Smokey, that was his first RBI right-handed hitter.
Yeah, you can really see it coming with him, and like you mentioned, that one getting through, his confidence just continues to grow, and as it grows, he's going to get more comfortable with runners in scoring position and become much more comfortable with his swing.
Well, and I had a good conversation with Eric Wedge yesterday when we were down at the batting cages and Justin was hitting, and Eric said the same thing. He said, if you look at what he's been doing, he's been picking up his hits, and now he's starting to drive the ball and hit the ball out of the ballpark. He said, but in those situations, he wants to get the runners in so badly that he tries too hard. Basically, what it comes down to is a good walk from Saunders. The Mariners have something going here, but he said he tries too hard. He goes, we're trying to get him to where just to keep the same, I guess, body language, everything the same as if there was nobody on base, and then you'll start to have some success. And they've been working on that with him, and yesterday, and that's exactly what he said after the game. Same type of thing, just being relaxed. And as you know, Dan, this is a tough game when you try to force the issue.
Yeah, you gotta be able to relax, and that's being able to clear that mind when you step in the batter's box and treating every at bat the same, whether there's guys on or not. Key
phrase that Wedge used today with the media is attention free. He said nobody exudes that or exemplifies that better than Raul and Morales.
And look at the success they've had with runners in scoring position this year.
There's Zunino up and in, ball 1.
But the thing about it, too, is Morales has been in the big leagues for 18 years.
There you go. Big difference.
And he's had success in those situations, and he knows how to deal with them because he's been in there a lot longer than anybody else.
Wade said when you're talking about Smoker, your heart, talking about Smoke, your heart gets in the way to what you were talking about. Wants it so badly. Zunino, swing and miss, 1-1. Mike Z, 2 for 4 last night. Run scored an RBI. See the squibber that came back on Swisher last night?
I heard about it.
Down, I saw it this morning. Squibber down the third base line. He stood there. The catcher went down. That was Brian Payne. He went down and got it. Came back, ran back and tagged him out. He was standing in the batter's box.
Never left. I've seen that happen before. Usually it hits the cut of the grass and it'll kick it back. Man, you and I were talking earlier, and you noticed something with Zunino, and I agree with you. He's seeing his share of breaking balls.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things they're going to attack early on is can he hit the breaking ball, and he's going to see his share, and when he makes that adjustment, and I think you were mentioning that he's beginning to make that adjustment. He's getting closer and closer on those breaking balls. And when you do, I mean, you know, he's going to really start to take off. But you know, I think as I look at Mike right now, he's got enough on his plate behind the plate.
I agree.
Defensively, you know, he's concentrating on that. His bat is going to be there. I mean, we had a chance to watch him take BP today. The ball just jumps off that barrel, and he's a strong kid, and he's going to hit a lot of home runs, and it's coming. But what he's doing behind the plate is awesome.
You like what you've seen from him? Yeah, so do I.
Here's Ackley. Shows bunt, takes a ball.
I was just amazed that the league, sometimes it takes a little while, sometimes it happens quickly. He hit a home run, Zunino did, in Oakland right after when he first came in, dead center field on a fastball, just tattooed it. It was almost his next at bat. Breaking ball, breaking ball, breaking ball, and that's what he's had to deal with ever since that. Okay, he can hit a good fastball. Let's just try something else.
That's all we saw in Cincinnati, right?
And, you know, as you know, I mean, the word travels quickly, and especially on a young player. And but he'll make that adjustment.
I agree. I think he will. There's a lot of the priority for him right now is behind the plate, getting this pitcher through the game. Wouldn't you agree?
That's always the priority for a catcher, and especially a young one. He's got a lot on his plate.
But Ackley's got a 3-0 count here. Mariners with runners at first and second, one out. He takes the walk. Bases are loaded for Brad Miller. Dustin Ackley, you know, he digs into the dirt at home plate. Now you can dig into the dirt in your very own backyard. Join us Saturday, Dustin Ackley Gnome Night. Mariners take on the Angels, 7:10 first pitch. This collectible lawn ornament is free for the first 20,000 fans thanks to Root Sports. Take Dustin from our yard to yours when you get your tickets at Mariners.com. The bases loaded for Brad Miller. One out. Smoke down at third. Saunders to second.
Thought it was interesting that the manager would go out and have a conversation early in the game with Webster, and not the pitching coach, Juan Nieves. And it seemed like it was a pretty quick conversation that he had.
John Farrell, a pitcher in his day, 8 years with Cleveland, California, and Detroit.
Also a pitching coach in the big leagues.
Yeah. 07 to 10 with the Red Sox before going up to Toronto. Miller 0 for 2 with bases loaded thus far. Line drive down the line, extra bases. Smoke scores, Saunders scores. Ackley to third, waving him off. Pedroia's throw to the plate. Not in time. A 3-run double for Brad Miller. Mariners take the lead at 5-1.
Well, take a look at Brad. He has been aggressive from the time he's shown up in the big leagues. Really no fear in this young man, and a lot of energy too. And just smart hitting, gets the pitch out over the plate, hits it hard down into the corner. Ackley, as we know, he has great speed, able to score all the way from first on the double. Just getting his foot in there in time.
Here's Nick Franklin. They got a base hit to center's first time up. Strike one. Iwakuma's got a little cushion now at 5-1. One out, a runner on. Down the line, foul.
Take a look at this play at home plate. Saltalamacchia takes this throw. Look how far in front of home plate he is. Usually that catcher wants his foot on that front corner of the plate, and he steps out in front, and that tag takes a long time to get back to the runner. I think if he'd set up on the plate, they might have had a better chance at Ackley.
Outside to Franklin, 1-2. How about this Mariner offense? 2-run homer by Morales in the first inning. Here in the second inning, a 3-run double by that man, Brad Miller.
How much of that do you think is Buster Posey? I just don't see catchers do it much anymore, Dan.
I mean, I guess yeah, I mean, perhaps.
Especially for somebody like Salter Lamaki, because he's in there to swing the bat, too.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely opened a lot of eyes when Posey went down for the year. And some managers, I think, even talked to their catchers and told them, be careful at home plate, and maybe that did have an impact on those kinds of plays.
2-2 here to Franklin. Outside, full count. Miller with good speed out at second. Payoff here to Franklin. Swing and a miss. Strike him out. 2 outs here in the second inning.
Another good changeup from Webster. He's had to throw a lot of pitches. 30 pitches in this inning, 45 total for Webster. Looking here in the second.
Banya's reaching the fielder's choice. Scored on the 2-run homer by Morales. It was a ground ball. Could have been a double play, but he busted down the line and beat the throw. But they tried to make a 5-6-3 double play. Hitting .333 on the season, runners in scoring position. Take 2 to roll. One-two pitch. Popped it up. Third baseman, long run. Holt is there, and that'll do it. But a big highlight in this inning. Mariners load him up. Brad Miller clears the bases. A double into the right field corner. Scores 3. And the Mariners expand their lead against the Boston Red Sox to 5-1 as Ackley comes in from first base. And Scott Iwakuma, he's hopping, he's digging it. 5-1 Seattle. Top of the order here in the third, Daniel Nava, Shane Victorino, and Dustin Pedroia. Strike one to Nava. Called third strike his first time up. Happy to be in left field tonight. Last night he said he was 150 pounds last time he played in center field. And last night it seemed like everything came his way. In front of him, over his head. Away from where he was positioned.
The pitchers did not help him at all. They were pitching away from their scouting reports. If he was in right center, we were hitting it in left center, and vice versa. It was.
The ball will find you, Blow.
It will find you.
It will find you.
Yep.
Line drive left field for Raul Ibanez. 1 out. One down here in the third. Sun's going to be out. So the Stars of the Red Sox take on the Mariners Thursday for Mariners matinee. Spend the afternoon catching David Ortiz, Dustin Pedroia, and the Red Sox take on Felix Raul and the Mariners under the summer sun. A special 12:40 start time. Great seats still available. Come on out. Go get them. Mariners.com.
Talking about the ball finding you, Danny. You probably don't remember this game, but we were playing in Chicago against the White Sox, and there was a late scratch. Can't remember who it was, but last minute Lou takes me out of third and puts me in left field. As you know, the wind can swirl around there. Ozzie Guillen now, and the bench is positioning where I'm supposed to be. Dumps 2 balls in front of me. They finally pulled me into where I was playing a deep shortstop, and then he hits a ball over my head.
Brutal.
So it was the same type of thing, though. And you know, I'm running all over the place. The good news is I think it was the 6th or 7th inning. Lou decided I had had enough and got me out of there. But I felt for Nava last night.
It is not a good feeling when you're in a position that you're not comfortable.
Did you ever go in and play first base or third base?
I played first base. Yeah, I played third base one particular game in Chicago. Maybe it was the same game.
Did you start there?
No, it was a late.
We were a bunch of moves and yeah. Over there. It's unsettling a little bit.
It really is.
Yeah. All these guys take a lot of pride in what they're doing. Nobody wants to be embarrassed. You know, and you're not sure of what you're doing. That's typically what's going to happen.
Right past Kuma. Nice effort. Miller can't get it. Base hit for a limping Shane Victorino. 1 out base runner for Boston here in the third. Get downtown from the airport for only $2.75 on Sound Transit's Link Light Rail. See how easy it is at soundtransit.org. Red Sox run came on a leadoff homer by David Ortiz in the second inning. He's on deck with Pedroia now at the dish. Ball 1 to Pedroia, flied out to right his first time.
Nice job, Mike Zunino there. It's one of the things we've talked about, Mike, just his ability, his quick feet behind the plate, a chance there to shift to his right, make that block. Makes it look pretty effortlessly.
High drive left field. That's all kinds of trouble. Pedroia, little man, puts a pop into that one, didn't he? 2-0 pitch. Rides it out for a 6th home run. RBI's 51 and 52. No doubt about it. 2-0 pitch.
Ortiz, who's come into the plate's already homered. He homered on a 3-1 pitch, and now 2-0. And Iwakuma throws a fastball. He gets it on the corner, the inside corner. You can see Pedroia turned it loose. 2-0 hitters are going to be so aggressive, especially a veteran club like the Red Sox. They like to bash, and you get into those triple counts, Danny, they're going to hurt you.
2 home runs tonight for Boston gives them 93 on the season. Started tonight 10th in the American League. Last season 116 homers in 81 games, 1.4. This season 92 and 45, on pace for 166. .419 feet. To the gap, off the fence, and Ortiz with a stand-up double, a line drive. That's his 20th double, and they're hitting Kuma hard. Missed a home run by a couple of feet.
And take a look at the swing by Ortiz. We mentioned he was having a great year. Had already homered into the seats and right. And I'm not sure you can hit a line drive any harder than he just did. As it goes out there, puts a dent in the padding. Just missed another home run.
We talked about Kuma commanding that lower part of the strike zone, Mike, but with a left-handed hitter, especially Ortiz, who likes to clear his hips, you got to stay away from that middle in, down and in area, because that's where he loves to get extended. And we saw it right there, middle of the plate down. Ortiz gets extended. You want to come in, you got to stay up.
3 consecutive hits. Here's Napoli giving it a ride. Deep right center field. A lot of carry. Gone. 2-run homer. 4 straight hits. Good grief. That didn't take long. New ball game at 5-5. First pitch. Mike Napoli. His 11th home run. RBIs 57 and 58. That's some bashing right there.
Well, this pitch is down. It's at the bottom of the strike zone, but it's in the middle of the plate. Breaking ball.
Nice catch for the guy in the Sonics jersey. Some balls were crunched here in this 3rd inning. 4 straight Boston hits. Going to get some action up there. Long man Blake Bevan. Single home run, double home run.
When you look at the Red Sox, second in average, first in runs scored. They can hit and they'll do some damage. Second in slugging.
That's an offensive ball club. Second in walks, first in double, second in stolen bases too. We haven't even seen that because Ellsbury's out.
Yeah, he has 36 stolen bases.
Right.
36 of 39, I believe. 36 out of 39. Unbelievable.
This is crazy. Yes.
This is now 5 starts in a row for Iwakuma where he's given up at least 4 earned runs.
And this might be the hardest hit sequence we've seen this season, right?
Well, I would say so. On the year now with the 3 home runs, they've hit 20 home runs on the year off of them. That is a lot going into the break.
There's Saltalamacchia. Got a base hit to center his first time up. That's hit hard. Slice it away from Raul. Not going to glove that one. One hop. And it went over the fence and bounced back. Ground rule double. So 5th consecutive hit.
Blake Bevan's up in the pen for the Mariners trying to get loose. There's Blake. Gets a fly out to start the inning, then it's a base hit, home run, double, home run, and another double.
2 for 2 night for Saltalamacchia. Brings up shortstop Jose Iglesias. He got a base hit to left first time. 56 pitches thrown by Iwakuma.
Both starters having to throw a lot of pitches here early in the game.
3 home runs hit by the Red Sox. Ortiz, Pedroia, and Napoli. Morales with a 2-run shot for the Mariners. A 3-run double by Brad Miller. That's the 8th hit for Boston. Move somebody off the plate, you think?
I don't think so. I think if you feel that they're stealing signs, cheating on some pitches, but if you're the one that's throwing the ball in the middle of the plate, I don't see why.
I'm not saying to hit anybody. Just move a guy off the plate. You don't have to
Like
buzz
you
the
just
tower.
did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Down around the legs.
Turned into a slugfest here in the third inning. Swing and a miss. Iglesias going to get the first, and down to third goes Saltalamacchia. So a strikeout, wild pitch.
I think the other thing too, Dave, is you look at the home runs. Ortiz with a fastball that was in. He hit it out of the ballpark. Pedroia's was on the inside corner. And then the pitch to Napoli was in the middle of the plate. A lot of times when you're moving guys around, it's because you're trying to open up the outer half. He just hasn't been able to get those pitches there.
The strikeout, wild pitch. One out, runners at the corners. The hitter's going to be Brock Holt, their third baseman. To right field for Saunders. Tagging at third, Saltalamacchia. Here he comes. Throw to the plate. Not in time. Boston takes the lead, 6-5. So the euphoria of the Mariners' 3-run second inning is short-lived. Brock Holt with his second RBI since being called up Saturday.
Take a look at this play. Zunino throw up the line a little bit. I don't think he had any other choice but to make that play, Dan.
No, with that throw coming to his right, tough play. Kind of has to go with the turn and make the catch and kind of turn at the same motion and try to get that runner.
It was Jackie Bradley Jr., ninth man to the plate. Well, Squibber stays fair, tags him, and that'll do it. But the damage aplenty in the third as the Red Sox take the lead, 6-5. Here by these two catchers in this ball game.
Well, a couple of plays at the plate. You'll see Saltalamacchia where he starts. He put that left foot on the corner of home plate. That's where you want to stay, but he creeps up in front and he has to reach back with the tag. That's a slow way to get a runner. He doesn't get the tag there in time. We'll see Zunino, his foot in the right spot to start with. But the difference here is the throw from Michael Saunders is to Zunino's right. He has to turn and he does the smart thing and tries to just go with the turn and try to make the tag. He's unable to get there. But if you're able to keep that left foot on the corner of home plate, hold your ground, that's when you can get the guy at home with a block.
Drive deep to center field. We got a tie ball game. Home run derby here at Safeco Field as Kendrys Morales goes yard for the second consecutive at bat. How about that? His 13th home run, third RBI tonight, gives him 51. First pitch of the inning.
.80 degrees and the ball is flying. Mariners with a couple of home runs. The Red Sox with 3 home runs. We'll take a look at this swing by Morales. He just gets a first pitch fastball, and it is up out over the plate.
6-6 ball game. Kyle Seager, base hit right field. Oh man.
That'll extend Kyle's hitting streak to 9 games now. Again, another good fastball, 95 miles an hour, and Kyle turns on it.
Both those pitches, Mike, one up in the zone, this one down at the lower part of the zone, but both of them right around the middle of the plate. And you're right, when it's warm like this, these hitters are feeling good up there. They're nice and loose. They get a ball in the middle of the plate. They know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Morales, his 11th career multi-home run game. Second this season. He did it against Texas July 2nd, rather, as Alfredo Aceves starts to heat up for Boston. 5 home runs hitting this ball game. We're only in the home third.
Justin had a base hit his first time. Has his average up to 270 now. Really been hot, swinging the bat well.
One-0 pitch. Seager back safely. Minimal lead over there.
Alfredo Aceves getting loose in the pen for the Red Sox.
Making it. Here comes John Farrell.
I think that's the second trip on the same batter. Has he even thrown a pitch yet?
1-0 count. One-0 count here to Smoke. Smoke gets into one, hits it hard, and a catch by Victorino. Back to first. Seager's back safely. Smoke dialed in.
Take a look at Victorino. This ball is hooking away from him, and we were talking about his hamstring. He hasn't run hard to first, but he's able to cover some ground and take a double away from Justin Smoke. He hit the ball hard.
Batting average balls put in play. Unlucky at bat there for Mr. Smoke. John Farrell's seen enough of his youngster, is going to bring in the veteran Alfredo Aceves, who can be rather edgy. slugfest. Home run derby. 5 home runs already. We're in the 3rd inning. Reminder this Sunday, Mariners and Boeing give a tip of the cap to our youngest fans for Salute the Kids Day at Safeco Field. Not only will all the kids 14 and under take home a Michael Morse t-shirt, but they're going to be invited down on the field for post-game fun, the first run around the bases of the summer. For tickets, the family fun at the ballpark as part of Boeing Salute the Kids Day, log on to Mariners.com. Dave Sims, Dan Wilson, Mike Blowers, and our understanding of what just happened prior to the lifting is what, Dan?
David, I think it was a 1-0 count when Farrell came out to make his first visit. Then he threw over 3 times, tried to come back out and take him out. I think he has to throw 1 pitch at least before they can take him out of the ball game. So
I'm not sure what it is, because I think the pitching coach came out, and then he threw a pitch, and then no, there were no pitches, so that's probably he has to throw a pitch before he can come take him out, and then the next pitch he threw was hard into right field. Okay, no pitches were thrown. That's the reason why.
It was surprising to me that they were throwing over on Kyle Seager, who's not a base stealer. You knew they were buying time. He threw over the 3rd time, and it was like he's definitely buying time at this point.
He had to step off the bag for crying out loud.
So it was red flags all over the place.
Young Allen Webster, Mariners got to him. Morales leads off this inning. First pitch ties it up. Home run straightaway center field. Saunders facing Aceves, who's in his 3rd season with the Red Sox after a couple of years with 3 years with the Yankees and 1 with Tampa. Started with the home run by Morales. Seager first pitch swinging, single to right. Smoke, line drive. I mean, hit it hard. It was run down by Victorino for the first out. Two and 2 to Saunders. Well stroked into the gap. Michael Saunders is on a tear. Seager digging for 3rd. He's getting a wave on. Here's the relay from Pedroia. They go to 3rd for Saunders. Dropped by Holt. RBI triple for Michael Saunders, and the Mariner lead is 7-6 here in the 3rd. What a slugfest. Sondo with the triple, his 2nd of the season.
Well, Michael started to get it going last night. Couple of doubles for Saunders, and then this right here, another gapper. He never hesitated. He was going for 3 the entire time as Kyle Seager comes around and scores from first.
What a ball game. Here's Mike Zunino, struck out on a 2-2 fastball first time up. In tight, ball 1.
Look at the high throw. Holt, the 3rd baseman, trying to go up and get it quickly so he could put the tag on Saunders, but never had the ball. Went off the top of his glove.
7-6 Mariner lead. Ain't no late. Iwakuma. Boy, oh boy, he's got the lead again. Zunino right to the shortstop Iglesias. Throws out at Zunino. 2 down. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced, retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. Beautiful sunset here. Big show going on here at Safeco Field. Dustin Ackley with the chance to pick up an RBI with 2 outs.
Dustin walked and scored his first at bat.
No.
The pitching coach and the manager, I thought because the count was 1-0 on Justin, that was he'd thrown a pitch after the pitching coach was out there. Apparently John Farrell did too.
Yeah.
kind of eager to get his guy, huh? To Ackley. Holt's going to take a long run. He's out of room. How about the White Sox today? 6 for 6. Day for Alex Rios. He had 6 of the Chicago 23 hits. White Sox scored 7 in the 8th, 3 in the 9th. Totals here. It's early. Might be able to get there. Miller waits his turn at a 3-run double in the 2nd inning. Miller scored 3 times, but the Sox answered with 5 in the top of the 3rd. Up the middle, Iglesias throws out Ackley. The Mariners get a couple of runs and retake the lead. 7-6. Morales a home run and Saunders an RBI triple. Field 7-6 Mariners. Time for AT&T trivia question. Who was the last pitcher to win the All-Star Game MVP award? Vita Blue, Roger Clemens, Louis Tiant, Pedro Martinez. I'm going with Vita Blue immediately because Vita Blue, Babe Ruth. When in doubt, Vita Blue, Babe Ruth. Go with them.
That's right. I forgot about that rule that you have.
The Gene Orza rule.
Gene Orza rule.
I think I'm going to go with D, Pedro Martinez.
Michael?
I'm going with Vita Blue.
Okay. We'll revisit.
I don't know, so I'm going with Gene Orza and Vita Blue.
Gene Orza, former counsel for the Major League Baseball Players Association. Retired a couple years ago. New pitcher for the Mariners. It is Blake Bevan, their long man, with Iwakuma getting tuned up for 6 runs on 8 hits.
This will be the 12th appearance of the year for Blake. Was in the rotation at the start of the season, but now working out of the bullpen.
Sox in the 3rd sent 9 men to the plate, scored 5 runs on 5 hits. Daniel Nava's going to get his 3rd at bat. Here we are in the top of the 4th. Two to Nava. Red Sox playing without Jacoby Ellsbury. Hurt himself a couple of nights. Had a wrist injury a couple of nights ago. They missed that 301 batting average and 36 steals. And hitting. Got to hit 0-2.
Not a good start.
Fans going with Pedro Martinez.
By a landslide, 62%.
So an unfortunate start here for Bevan as he goes 0-2 and then hits Nava. Brings up Shane Victorino, who's 1 for 2 with a run scored. 3 home runs by Boston Ortiz, Pedroia, and Napoli. 2 home runs for the Mariners, both by Kendrys Morales. To Victorino. Long look by Blake. Victorino calls time. Victorino started his big league career in San Diego in 03. He was with the Phillies from 05 to parts of last year. Slow breaking ball upstairs. Traded to the Dodgers, finished up the season 53 games with the Dodgers at .245. Two and 1. 3 and 1 from Bevan now. Pedroia on deck. So not the start like Bevan. Manager Eric Wedge or pitching coach Carl Willis envisioned. Here's Iwakuma's line from earlier.
Just a struggle for him in this one. He's been struggling as of late, and so is this. 3 innings, 8 hits, 6 runs, all of them earned. Didn't walk anybody. Had 3 strikeouts, 61 pitches, 44 of those were strikes. Just another rough outing for Iwakuma. Good news for him as the Mariners picked him up by scoring a bunch of runs. 7 runs for the Mariners.
Here's Pedroia, hit a 419-foot 2-run homer to the Mariner bullpen last time up. 2 men on here. So a hit batter and a walk. And now behind 1-0 to Pedroia with Ortiz and Napoli coming up. Rookie of the Year in 07, MVP in the league in 08. The other way, base hit. Nava coming around. He'll score without a throw. And the score's tied at 7-7.
Pedroia now with 3 RBIs in the game. And the Red Sox 2 for 6 with runners in scoring position. It's a pitch, fastball right in the middle of the plate. Carl Willis back out at the mound again. He's been busy tonight.
Below, as a hitting coach that we used to have, Uncle Lee used to say a lot of hits and a lot of RBIs the other way. Justin Pedroia just taking what he gets that direction, picks up another RBI, his third one of the game. That's just good hitting with runners in scoring position, being able to wait and take that ball the other way.
Well, let the ball travel. You can see it a little bit longer, and there's a lot of hits hitting the ball the other way. We talk about that all the time. It's also easier said than done. And Pedroia has been swinging the bat extremely well this year. Pedroia coming into the game hitting .320 on the year. You see Danny Farquhar getting loose in the bullpen for the Mariners.
Bevinson's coming on to start this inning. Hit, batter, walk, RBI single. Now he's got Ortiz. Victorino at second. Pedroia at first. Ortiz homered to right on a 3-1 pitch, and first pitch swinging in a third. Line to double off the deep right center field wall. Just a home run by a couple of feet. Seven ball game here in the fourth. Popped it up. Ackley gets under it. That is the first out. Bring up Mike Napoli, MLB.com at bat. You know, it's the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At Bat's going to deliver baseball, Mariners baseball, with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text it back 31826 or visit Mariners.com for details. 31826. 2-run homer for Napoli. That was in the third inning. 5-run third inning. Seven runs, 9 hits for Boston. 7 runs, 7 hits for the Mariners. One. Evanson's coming back. Modus operandi has been unbelievably slow pace, a slow delivery between pitches. He used to be a reasonably fast worker, but he's unbelievably slow now.
Well, he used to throw a lot of fastballs too, so there wasn't a lot of waiting around to figure out what he was going to throw next. He used to just get up there and try to locate his fastball, and now he mixes in a lot of breaking balls. He's only at 40% fastball so far since he's come on here.
He's got Napoli 1-2. Struck him out. Big strikeout. 2 outs, 2 on.
Well, we're talking about the slow breaking ball. Just 77 miles an hour. Right on the outside corner.
Saltalamacchia is the hitter and a tough one. He's had a good night. A single to center and a ground rule double to left. to LaMacchia, the sixth man to the plate here for Boston in the fourth inning. One to Salt to LaMacchia. Devin had an 11-11 record in 26 starts last year for the Mariners. For the stint Tacoma went 4-0. Salt to LaMacchia, switch hitting catcher. One and two.
Mike Blake going with a lot of breaking balls, as you mentioned. Red Sox showing that they can hit the fastball in that last inning, so probably coming out here with a different game plan, trying to keep them off balance with that breaking ball.
Well, the thing about it too is we'll see if Blake has to switch up himself. It's a veteran lineup, and those guys, it's not going to take them long to figure that part of it out. So I think eventually Blake's going to have to locate his fastball. Right now, breaking ball's helping him out to get out of this inning after getting in trouble right away with a hit batter and a walk.
Trying to keep it a 7-7 ball game. One-two pitch. Swing and a miss. You get him. Red Sox get a run on one hit, leave two. They've tied the score at 7-7. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Sterling Bank. Nobody works harder for you. Equal housing lender, member FDIC. By Mazda, we believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. Beautiful night for a slugfest at Safeco Field. That's what we have here. Game 2 of a 4-game set with the Boston Red Sox, with the sun still very much with us. Figure for probably another 40 minutes or so. On a ball game, and already John Farrell, the manager for the Boston Red Sox, goes to his third pitcher of the night Guy we used to see all the time when he was with the Oakland Athletics, Craig Breslow.
This will be his 30th appearance on the year. 2-2 record for Breslow. 3.21 ERA. 16 strikeouts in the 28 innings he has worked. He's given up a couple of home runs this year. As Dave mentioned, longtime reliever with the Red Sox, or the A's, excuse me, now with the Red Sox.
Named the smartest man in baseball by the Wall Street Journal back in '09. Graduated from Yale University in '02 with degrees in molecular biophysics and biochemistry. "40 games with Arizona last year, 23 games with Boston." We had seen him 09, 10, and 11 with Oakland. Prior to that, Minnesota and Cleveland, Boston and San Diego, dating back to '05. Brad Miller to lead it off here in the home fourth. Popped up that bunt. Saltalamacchia can't make the play.
That's a tough play for a catcher when that ball goes up over your head. You're not sure how far behind you it is. Saltalamacchia kind of stalled for a minute, and it cost him, as he was just maybe a step or two from catching that ball.
This is strike two. Miller, Franklin, and Ibanez top the order for the Mariners. One and two. You were talking about getting a book on a young kid, Dan. You as a catcher, you're getting a scouting report. Plus, are you making like quick decisions after evaluating a guy first couple of times at the plate?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you know, Dave, guys are making adjustments on the mound to you all the time, and it's a question of whether, as a hitter, you're making the adjustment. So if he is making the adjustment to the game plan that he went over, then you got to change it up, and so you're always making those assessments pretty much at bat to at bat. That's why I always thought the guy that was the starter for the third game of a series was always had a little bit of an advantage, because he's seen these hitters for 2 games and what their approach was and how they were getting, being successful. So it's, it's a watch and learn kind of a situation.
2-2 to Miller. Iglesias, that is a fabulous play, but the hustle by Miller beats it out for a base hit.
We were talking about Iglesias at the start of the game, and he makes this a close play. This looks like a base hit all the way, and keep in mind Brad Miller can really get down the line, but he makes a play out of it, and Brad just beats it for an infield hit. Second base hit of the game for Miller.
Surprised Iglesias was able to get that much on the throw. Blow. It was a great play.
Going away.
Yeah.
Leadoff man's aboard here in the fourth inning. Nick Franklin turn around and bat right-handed now, 1 for 2. Towards the line, Victorino, long run, makes the catch. Throw down to first. Miller just back. Victorino, long run on that bad hammy.
It was a good play by Miller. Once the ball is in foul territory, there's nowhere to go, so he may as well tag up. And I think he was watching to see if Victorino had fallen and stumbled. I think he would have tried to tag up. You can see how close he is to the wall.
I think this guy gets his lunch right here, Blow. Victorino kind of pushes off of him a little bit. Whoa.
What? Oh, man, he put a shot on him.
But here comes the apology later on. Sorry about that.
Here's Raul Ibanez. On his regional fielder's choice and fouled out the third. So Boston fit bets on the back. Come on. Two-0. Two and one. Raul with Miller at first. This foul ball is hit hard here during this run. He's got a 13-game hitting streak. No play for Iglesias. If you're just joining us, you have missed some kinds of offensive explosions. Mariners take a 2-0 lead. Kendrys Morales 2-run homer in the first. Red Sox get a big poppy home run in the second. Third inning, Mariners strike for 3 runs. And the Red Sox say, oh really? Here's a 5 spot. 2 more in the bottom of the third, 1 in the top of the fourth. Adds up to that. Almost caught his batting helmet there.
Well, I know he would like to have that pitch back. It was just a hanging breaking ball out in the middle of the plate. World's hit 8 home runs, 22 home runs, 8 of them coming off of left-handed pitching this year.
Two and two. Hit well, center field. Bradley turns his back, finds the ball, and makes the catch. 2 outs. Pretty good ride by Raul. Here's a look at the Mariners calendar brought to you by Sleep Country USA. 2 more games here with the Red Sox. Thursday's a day game. Angels coming to town for 3, and then it's the All-Star break. How about the night Kendrys Morales is having? 2 for 2, 2 home runs, 3 runs batted in as the sun starting to slide behind the Olympic Mountains.
Both of his home runs hitting left-handed. Turn around for the first time, hit right-handed against the left-handed pitching Breslow.
Angels, by the way, slugged by the Cubs 7-2 in Chicago today. Texas beat Baltimore 8-4. Beltre with a couple of home runs. Oakland won at Pittsburgh 2-1. Mr. Morales, that's his first at bat, a 2-2 pitch. First pitch of the 4th inning. Incoming. Brad Miller provided some big spark with a 3-run double with 1 out in the 2nd inning. Enjoying a 2-for-3 night. 2-1. Sun about to set. Still plenty of daylight though here.
I didn't think Breslow would give in to him and give him a fastball after the 2 home runs. It was a pretty good changeup. A 2-0 count.
Line drive into the gap. Miller will go to third. Bradley gets the ball back into Pedroia. So with 2 outs, runners at the corners for the Mariners. It'll bring up Kyle Seager. 3 for 3 night for Kendrys Morales.
This time it's just a single, a solid line drive into right center field.
Alex Rios went 6 for 6 for the White Sox in a win today. Here we are in the 4th, and Morales has already had 3 at bats. He's got 3 hits. Boy, this game's going. He might have a shot to match.
Might go 7 for 7. Kyle Seager with a base hit his last time up. 1 for 2. Kyle extended his hitting streak to 9 games with that base hit.
Well, 1 to Kyle. No play for Holt. Seager, 252 hitter against lefty pitching. 5 homers, 15 runs batted in. Plays off the high pitch, 2-1. Miller at third, Morales at first. 2 outs here in the 4th. Right field coming in Victorino, going back Pedroia, but Victorino calls him off. That'll do it. Mariners straighten a couple. We go to the 5th. What a ball game. 7-7. Being brought to you by Auburn Volkswagen, Das Auto, and by Jack in a Box. Go to a Jack in a Box near you with Jack's new Big Stack Burger. Gives you an idea of what it looked like from Elliott Bay today. Just glorious here in Seattle. Behind you got the Ferris wheel. Doesn't really go that fast, but that's the beauty of time-lapse photography. That would really be a thrill right then.
Yeah.
Blake Bevan continues on his second inning. Jose Iglesias, Brock Holt, Jackie Bradley Jr., 7, 8, 9 here in the fifth. Franklin throws him out. Good crowd on hand, upwards of 20,000, maybe a little bit more. Getting their money's worth in terms of offensive entertainment tonight.
Wow.
3 home runs by Boston, 2 by the Mariners, a 3-run double by Brad Miller, RBI triple by Saunders. Ball one to Brock Holt. Iwakuma started, didn't have it tonight. 3 innings, 8 hits, 6 runs all earned. No walks, 3 strikeouts. Evan had a rough 4th inning, giving up a run on the hit a batter. Seager taking a look. It's going to come back to him. It does. 2 outs. Game 3 of this 4-game series coming up tomorrow night, 7:10 first pitch. Felix Dubranc goes against Aaron Harang. Thursday, we've got a 12:40 start. Day baseball. CenturyLink link to what's next. Like one of Jackie Bradley Jr. just recalled from Pawtucket, the AAA affiliate. Strikeout looking, long at bat, 10 pitches, and then grounded out to another South Carolina Gamecock, Justin Smoke at first base. Young man hit .297, 7 homers, 21 runs batted in at Pawtucket in 45 games. Deep drive, right center field, trouble, because it's gone. 8-7 lead, Boston. 4th home run. Jackie Bradley Jr. on a 1-1 pitch, his second big league homer.
Well, you would expect this from the Mariners. Mariners 4th in the league in home runs. That's a hanging breaking ball right in the middle of the plate. Not much of a stride, but he's able to drive it out to right center. The Red Sox coming into this game were 10th in the American League in home runs. A little bit surprising because they play in Fenway Park. And you look at them overall, they're hitting everything else. Second average, first in runs scored, second in walks, second stolen bases, slugging percentage, all those other things, but the home runs down a little bit. That hasn't been the case tonight.
4 home runs. Ortiz, Pedroia, Napoli, and now Bradley Jr. The Mariners have hit 2, both of them by Morales. Mariners in the 4th, they didn't score, so that ended a run of 8 consecutive innings in which they'd scored dating back into last night's game. 0-1 here. Mariners have held Boston to just one 1-2-3 inning. That was in the first. Now Bevan way behind, 3-1. To Nava. Full count, 2 outs, a run in on the Bradley Jr. home run. Shane Victorino's on deck. Nava came out of Independent League Baseball and worked his way up into the Red Sox organization. 3-2. So popped to Raul Ibanez in left. Another lead change. It happens here in the top of the 5th. The home run by Jackie Bradley Jr. puts Boston in front again, 8-7. Fifth inning on a lovely night here in Seattle. To revisit our AT&T trivia question, who was the last pitcher to win the All-Star Game MVP award? I went with Vita Blue. So did Mike. Dan went with Pedro Martinez. Fans went with Pedro Martinez. Survey says Pedro Martinez. Wow, struck out Larkin, Larry Walker, Sosa, McGuire, and Matt Williams to start the game.
That was at Fenway Park, I believe.
Was it?
I believe it was.
The big
when he was with the Red Sox, yeah. That was the game when Ted Williams was out there before the game. Remember that?
Other pitchers to win that award. Martinez. That's a heck of a list. There's Smoke. There's the other pitchers to win that MVP. Pedro, Clemens, Lamar Hoyt, Don Sutton, John Matlack of the Mets, and Juan Marichal, the Dominican dandy. Smoke hit it hard, backhanded by Holt. Throws him out, 1 down.
He's had some good at-bats tonight. 1 for 3 now, but he's hit the ball hard all 3 times.
Yeah, it's just a different sound off of his bat right now. He's finding the barrel.
Yeah.
He's exploding on the ball. He's just jumping off that bat. The ball he hit to right field earlier for an out was smoked.
I was watching him yesterday, and the thing that I noticed with him is in his batting practice how relaxed his hands were. Just super relaxed so he could throw the barrel out there. And he started to take that into the game, so I'm sure he's a little bit frustrated because he's had some good at-bats, just the one hit, but he's moving in the right direction. Michael Saunders, 1 for 1. He had a walk and scored a run and doubled and drove in a run.
Low to Michael. Breaking ball misses 2-1. Breslow, the third pitcher tonight. Alan Webster, 2 1/3, 6 hits, 6 runs all earned. 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Aceves went 2/3 of an inning, gave up a hit. Breslow gave up 2 hits in the 4th. Out. 2-2 to Saunders. Mike Zunino's on deck. Saunders strikes out. Here's Angie Mente.
Guys, the Yankees trying to catch the Red Sox in the AL East, and tonight they were hosting the Kansas City Royals, and this game was tied at 1 in the 7th. That's when Billy Butler goes yard to give the Royals the lead. KC wins at 3-1. New York has lost 3 straight, guys, and scored only 1 run in each game. Ouch.
They've been on a roller coaster. They'd lost 6, and I think they won 5, and now these 3. And for Billy Butler, his 42nd loss on the Yankees. Butler has had 2 home runs the last 3 games. Here's Zunino, a strikeout and a ground out tonight. Two no to Mike. Mariner RBIs tonight, 3 for Miller, 3 for Morales, 1 for Saunders.
And it looks like Danny Farquhar is going to take over for Bevan. And he's still throwing out in the bullpen, so I would assume they're going to bring him in.
Low into the zone. There's Danny. Broken bat, hook foul. The bat almost left the infield.
It looked like a cut fastball in on his hands, well off the plate inside. A couple of strikes. Mike deciding to take a swing at it.
Like it sheared the barrel off
Yeah,
there,
just
bro.
split it down the middle.
Yeah.
Whew.
2 strikes, got to protect.
Full count to Zunino with 2 outs, nobody on. 2-2. Breaking ball got him looking. We're going to solve one of the great audio mysteries in baseball when we come back. What's Jim Joyce saying? Called strikes. Well, let's take a look and listen. I certainly get a different pitch and timbre for each strike 1, strike 2, strike 3.
Yeah, he's I tell you what, Jim Joyce is one of the best, David. A great veteran umpire, a guy I loved catching in front of, and he shouts it out. The thing I like about Jim is he lets you know almost immediately, strike or ball. Sometimes guys to make a delayed call. Not Jim Joyce. You hear it loud and clear right away, and one of the best in the game. Tough situation in Detroit a couple of years ago with the perfect game, but I tell you what, he handled it so well.
I don't know if anybody could have handled it any better.
No.
Remember, the next time they came in here, I happened to run into him downstairs on my way back upstairs to the pregame, and told him that, and he was very gracious.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure to shake his hand and say, hey, man, you did a heck of a job with that, because I don't know who else could do it.
No. One of the best in the game.
Shane Victorino, Dustin Pedroia, David Ortiz against Danny Farquhar. Danny, the third pitcher used this evening by the Mariners. Blake Bevan with 2 innings.
You seen much of Danny pitch this year?
Yeah.
He surprises me at times with his fastball. He can get 95, 96 at times.
Yeah.
But he likes to throw that cutter up there, it seems, a lot more than his four-seamer. This is his 15th appearance on the year. Opponents average 272 against him. He's given up a couple of home runs. 30 strikeouts in the 21 and the third innings that he's pitched.
Up high from Farquhar, 2-2.
There it is, Mike. That 96 miles an hour kind of jumps at you. You don't expect it, but it's on you.
Especially after his cutter is around 91. Good breaking ball.
Strikes out Victorino. 1 down here in the 6th. I'll bring up Dustin Pedroia. Fly to right, homer to left, RBI single to right. Home run was his 6th. Driven in 3, gives him 53 in the season. 2-0. That's how to play. Mariners over the last 7 games, so we make the run towards the All-Star break. 5 up and 2 down. And the Red Sox, they've lost 3 consecutive games. Played 3 in Anaheim. They get 4 here, then go to Oakland for 3. There's Ortiz on deck. Way outside. Ball 4. Man aboard for Ortiz here in the 6th. Make sure you join us for another Coors Light Silver Bullet on Saturday, July 13th. First 200 fans who enter the pen for early happy hour at the Rail Bar receive a free Silver Bullet Saturday t-shirt. It's going to get you extended happy hour pricing until first pitch. Plus, if you catch it specially marked Coors Light Baseball during Mariners BP, you're going to win tickets to an upcoming game. Don't miss. It's Coors Light Silver Bullet Saturdays return August 10th against the Brewers. What a night for Ortiz. Solo homer. A hard hit line drive double off the fence in deep right center field and a fly to center on a pop.
We'll also have to keep an eye on Pedroia. Pedroia with 13 stolen bases on the year, which is actually surprising. I don't know that he would get an opportunity to run that much to get 13 stolen bases with this guy hitting behind him.
One and 2. Inside to Big Papi, 2 and 2. Red Sox RBIs tonight, 3 for Pedroia, 1 for Ortiz, 2 for Napoli, 1 for Holt, 1 for Bradley.
There goes Pedroia, Danny. You were noticing him strange, not much of a lead, and then his secondary, I'm not sure what it is that he's doing.
No, it's almost like he's going back to the bag as Ortiz.
Yeah, something you would see if there was a left-handed pitcher on the mound.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you're fooled, but it's after the ball is thrown to the plate. I'm not sure what he's doing.
Slicing drive left field. Raul can't track it down. Pedroia to third. Ortiz will ease into second. So David Ortiz's 3rd hit tonight. And here come the Sox. 1 out. Runners at second and third. Another double for Big Papi.
And that was odd again with Pedroia at first. He went back to first after the ball was hit to left field. Still able to get around and going and make it to third.
Two doubles tonight for Ortiz gives him 21. Pedroia, the club leader, with 24. Here's Napoli. It should strike 1. Napoli got a broken bat ground out in the second, a 2-run homer. Deep right center field in the third, and a strikeout in the fourth.
Take a look at Pedroia at first. Doesn't go. Then he goes back to first. And then he decides to go. And that's not much of a lead either, Dan, where he should be uncomfortable out there.
No, and you want your momentum going towards second base on every pitch.
And we noticed him doing
going
that
back towards first.
Yeah, and we noticed him doing that on, what, 4 or 5 pitches.
0-2 strikes. 1 out, runners at second and third. Sox by a run, 8-7 in what has been a slugfest from the very beginning. Two and two.
What? Thank you.
Farquhar ready, 2-2. Now he's got a full count. Jared Saltalamacchia is on deck. Two teams have combined for 15 runs and 20 hits. 6 home runs. Three-two to Napoli.
Well, he's pitched him away the entire at bat, and Napoli's home run was on a breaking ball away. A pretty good cut fastball at 92 miles an hour, but you'd like to see him get it down if he can. You have the infield up. You want him to hit it on the ground, hold the runners.
Three and two, 1 out. Strike 3 called. Painted that outside corner. Napoli can't believe it, but he's done. 2 outs here in the 6th.
It's good fastball, 96 miles an hour. We were talking about his 4-seamer. 95, 96. This is a good pitch right on the outside corner, maybe just off the plate, but Zunino did a good job of helping him out, framing that pitch.
Saltalamacchia up 2 for 3, 9 runs scored. Good pitch, 0-2. Farquhar trying to get out of a big jam pitch. Struck him out. Nicely done by Danny Farquhar. Striking out the side, stranding runners at second and third in the 6th. In a 1-run game, 8-7 Sox. Today's Tracer Technology is brought to you by the Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. Old school Mariner gear here at the ballpark. 8-7 lead for the Red Sox in the 6th. Out of the gates, boys, the explosiveness of the offense has been pretty amazing.
Well, it's not surprising. I think on the Mariners side, they had a young pitcher that they were up against, and they've been swinging the bat well. But Iwakuma, again, more struggles, Dan, giving up 6 runs.
Yeah, it seems like even some of their outs were hit hard, Mike, and they were just hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Pedroia had that played nicely. Ackley's gone on 1 pitch.
One of the things we talked about was giving up his 20th home run of the year, and that's a pretty big number. To have the kind of numbers that he has as a pitcher to be in the All-Star game, he's given up 20 home runs.
Leading the league in ERA.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Top of the order, Brad Miller. Having a good night, 2 for 3. And a bases clearing triple in the 2nd. Bases loaded double, big break. Greg Breslow in his 3rd inning of work.
Lucas Litke getting loose in the bullpen. Lucas was called up a couple of days ago.
Interesting as you watch Breslow too, Mike. 10 hitters he's faced. He's only gotten ahead of 4 of them. Seems strange, a guy coming out of the bullpen, you want a guy to pump strikes, but Breslow does not get ahead of too many guys.
Well, he's always tried to pitch on the edges of the plate.
1-1 to Miller. 2-1.
Brad's having a good night. 2 for 3. It's a double. His double, bases clearing double, drove in 3 runs.
Two.
One of the things I like about what Miller has done since he's been called up, Dan, is he may swing through it like he just did, but he doesn't take too many fastballs that are on the plate. If they're on the plate, he usually gets a hack.
Gets this one out there for a base hit.
Go for it. There you go.
And Victorino bobbles and a hustle double right out of the gate for Brad Miller. How about that? A 3-hit night for him, his 2nd double.
Well, I'm sure a lot of the fans have noticed that with Miller and Nick Franklin at the top of the lineup, a lot of energy from these 2 guys, and Miller gets, as Dave mentioned, his 3rd hit of the night and a double for him, his 2nd double. Take a look at his hands. This is the way he gets set to hit. It's strange. You don't see this very often. And so yesterday during batting practice, I went over and I just asked him about it. I asked him why he did that. He said last year he started to do it. And it was for 2 reasons. He felt, one, it relaxes his shoulders when he gets set in there, because typically when he had 2 hands ready to go, his hands would tighten up on him. And the other reason why is his hands would drift more towards the center of his body. So when he puts it back with the 1 hand, it's just a reminder to get his hands back, so that he can just fire from there. And I thought that's a pretty good way to do it. I've never seen it before, but I thought it was a pretty good reason for why he does that.
Pitching change is the Mariners at the tying run at 2nd base. Andrew Bailey, the former closer, is going to take over. Back after this. Look at that line score. A lot of happenings here at Safeco Field this evening. Dave Sims, Mike Blowers, Dan Wilson with us tonight. And Nick Franklin face off against a new pitcher, Andrew Bailey.
Nick so far hitting .310 with runners in scoring position. And for Bailey, 28 appearances on the year, 4.15 ERA for him. 36 strikeouts over the 26 innings pitched. That's a good number. Opponent's average is .232. He has given up 7 home runs this year.
His second season with the Boston Red Sox, came up with Oakland. A lot of injuries in his young career. Hit hard but foul. Bailey, the 2009 American League Rookie of the Year. 1-2 to Nick Franklin. 1 for 3. Got a first inning single to center.
Mike, you're talking about Brad Miller bringing a lot of energy. I love the energy he brings and his speed. That play beat the Iglesias made the nice play at shortstop, but his speed able to get him there, knowing Victorino on that hustle double right there has the bad hand. He decided to challenge him, and that's, you got to love that. So that kind of approach.
And I think it's also makes you feel that he's aware of what the situation is. They're down by a run, and he knows that he can get to second base. There's an opportunity to score and tie this game up, and he decided to go for it. You could see him looking at the ball when it landed, and it didn't skip or anything. He knew that was going to be a tough play for Victorino, so he pushed the issue and ended up getting in the second. That's the reason why Victorino was bobbling it around out there, because of the speed of Miller.
Yep.
2-2. And Franklin goes down swinging. 2 outs. Check in with Angie Mente.
And guys, I love the fact that he doesn't wear batting gloves. Meantime, Rangers facing the Orioles tonight, and Adrian Beltre, the former Mariner, with a huge night. He has 2 home runs, including this 3-run shot in the 5th inning. Texas wins 8-4. Beltre ends the night with 4 hits, 5 RBIs. Hard to believe this guy couldn't make the All-Star team, gentlemen.
Now, how about that? All right, Angie, thank you. Here's Raul Ibanez against Bailey. Inside, Bailey coming from Oakland to Boston in exchange for Josh Reddick. 2 big headliners in that deal back in December of 2011.
Well, Raul has been hot, but I think he should be able to get a good fastball to hit, because Morales is on deck, and he's having a night 3 for 3 with a couple of home runs.
2-0 to Raul.
There's Kendricks.
3-hit night, 2 home runs and a single. Topped it. Pedroia charges. Throws out Raul, and that'll do it for the Mariners. In the 6th, they leave a man and trail 8-7 as we go to the 7th. Today's whiff brought to you by Head and Shoulders with a hint of Old Spice. Danny Farquhar in action, boys, in the 6th.
Well, we were talking about Danny. There's a good breaking ball to Victorino to get the first strikeout. He also gave up a double and then a walk, but he gets Napoli with a good cutter away at 92 miles an hour. And this is at 96 as he blows it by Salto Lamacchia. Well, using a little bit of everything, but an overpowering fastball for Farquhar. It stays on. He'll pitch here at the top of the 7th.
Farquhar to face the bottom third of the Sox order, Iglesias, Holt, and Bradley. Bouncing ball to Miller. Good hop. 1 out. Iglesias 1 for 3 now. I want to make that 1 for 4. And bring up Brock Holt. Ground out, a sac fly, and a foul out. Strike 1. Well, he went on that one. 0-2. Good pitch by Farquhar.
Well, there's that cutter you're talking about, Mike. That one down and in, but you can see that late movement on it. That Holt fooled.
Well, especially when you're trying to get geared up for the 95-96, because everybody in the Red Sox dugout now aware that Danny has that. So you cheat a little bit. There's 96.
Got him. Good pitch by Danny Farquhar. His 4th strikeout, 2 outs here in the 7th.
This is on a breaking ball. Looks like a hard curveball, 12-6 curveball.
Eric Wedge going to make a change. Got Jackie Bradley Jr.
Be Charlie Furbush.
A lefty against a lefty. Bradley last time up on a 1-1 pitch homer to deep right center field. He's 1 for 3 on the night. Farquhar, nice work. Here comes Charlie Furbush. Inning as we take a look at our Columbia Bank difference of the ball game, and here it is right here. The next hitter, Jackie Bradley Jr. boys.
Oh, that's the reason why Eric Wedge made the change to go get the left-hander to pitch to Bradley. Blake Bevan hung him a breaking ball in the middle of the plate and he hit it out of the ballpark.
Second big league home run, just called up from Pawtucket. He was in the Allentown area earlier this morning and made it here about noontime, about 12:30.
39 appearances for Charlie. 2-4 record, a 3.41 ERA. 48 strikeouts. That's a lot of strikeouts, standing 34 1/3. Use that slur, pretty good fastball. Tough arm angle for left-handers.
First pitch to Bradley. Next swing, strike one.
Surprising with the lefties blow that he works from that third base side of the rubber. You'd think he'd take more advantage of that angle, be more on the first base side, but still very effective from over there. See his setup on that third base side.
So if he moved more over to the first base side, he'd be able to crossfire him a little bit more. Yeah. Is that just an issue of him being more comfortable throwing strikes from that side?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's probably where he's just more comfortable. And you can see kind of the view from the hitter almost starts behind him.
0-2 pitch.
Nice play by Mike Zunino right there. Good quick hands. Ball way outside, which is where you want that as a left-handed pitcher. Get that ball down and away. There it is again.
Quick lateral movement with his body. I mean, we talk about it all the time with his ability to glove the ball the way that he does. But he shifts his body over there in pretty good shape.
He does. I think his feet are quick, and when you're behind the plate, having a strong arm is important, but having quick feet to go along with it is equally important.
Full count. Charlie had been ahead. Now it's a full count. Daniel Nava, the leadoff man, is on deck. Three-two pitch. Walked in. Top of the order, Daniel Nava. One other game still in progress. Mets and Giants 5-5, top 8. That's in San Francisco. Switch hitter.
Situation here, Mike, where they're going to have to keep an eye on Bradley over there at first base. 2-out situation, trying to get into scoring position. If he gets thrown out, still have the top of the order coming up next inning. So I would think he's going to be trying to get himself to second base.
It looks like he's getting a pretty good lead over there.
Bigger lead than last time he got out there. Breaking ball for strike 2.
Two strikes here. Breaking ball count. Furbush has thrown a lot of breaking balls. This might be where he tries to get a good jump and get down to second base.
1-2.
That's a good point, because if Charlie throws a breaking product, he'll probably try to throw the harder one at his back foot, which means it'll probably be in the dirt, trying to get him to swing over the top of it. If he takes it, won't be much of a chance for Zunino to throw him out if he runs.
It's a tough pitch for Zunino to handle and then get a good throw off.
Strike 3 called. Second time Nava's been caught looking here this evening. Mariners got to get busy here offensively. Get some more runs here. They're down run 8-7 as we go to the 7th inning stretch. Washington's lottery. Last year, Washington's lottery turned 28.6 million Washingtonians into winning heirs. They can do the same for you. Thanks to Washington's lottery, winning heirs are made daily. Time-lapse look at our gorgeous day and now evening here in Seattle. Fans coming in for Boston batting practice. Earlier today, the gorgeous blue sky. And the pen, as you can see, was filled for a minute. As soon as that door opened, that's front rail seats were gone, man. There's Morales. What a night. 2-run homer in the first. Leadoff homer in the third. 2-out single in the fourth. Bailey continues on. He got the last 2 outs of the 6th inning. 4th pitcher tonight used by Boston. Back going to Morales, Kyle Seager, and Justin Smoke. 4, 5, and 6 here in the Mariners' 7th. Kyle waiting his turn, 1 for 3 with a run scored. Morales been a real workhorse for the Mariners this season. 2 home runs gives him 13 on the season, 51 runs batted in. And the line foul. #51 RBIs ties him with Raul Ibanez for the team lead.
If he gets on base, would you think about pinch running for him?
That's a good question.
I don't think in the 7th inning you do.
Yeah, because his turn is going to come back up in the 9th.
It's a great
But at the
question.
same time, you're down a run. You need to tie this game up.
Yep.
That's a tough one.
I think you wait. If he gets to third base, maybe, or second base with less than 2 outs.
Yeah. In fact, I think on the road trip, Eric did that one time. He walked, and then he waited once he was at second, then he pinch ran for him.
A different story on the road, though.
Yeah. I would hate to take his bat out of the lineup and a spot come around in the 9th and you really need him.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
0-2. Pedroia goes out Morales. One out here in the Mariners' 7th. Ladies, the city's largest diamond is calling your name, the Safeco Field Diamond. Round up your girlfriends for EQC Girls Night Out this Friday when the first 10,000 women 21 and older pick up a fashionable Mariners cosmetic bag. For tickets, take the girls out to the ball game when the Mariners take on the Angels. Log on to Mariners.com. There's Kyle Seager with one out, nobody on. There's a base hit through the hole. Second hit tonight for Kyle. Both to right field.
Looks like he gets a slow hanging breaking ball because this pitch is up in the zone. Kyle's able to see it and stay on top of it and drive it into right field.
Did a nice job keeping his hands back there, Mike, on that slow breaking ball. Sometimes your hands start to drift forward, but his hands stayed back.
That's what gave him a chance to hit the ball hard. Otherwise, he would have to take it.
Smokes hit the ball hard 3 times. He's got 1 single to show for it. Heck of a line out to right field. That's off the plate. Lined out hard to right field in the 3rd, and a hard ground out. Third base in the 5th. Second inning single scored, and then bases loaded double by Brad Miller. Did not go 2-0. Mariners haven't scored since the 3rd inning.
We'll see if Bailey will give in to him and throw him a fastball to hit.
Big shift on for Smoke. Backhand by Napoli. And Bailey did get the bag. That is a heck of a double play turn by the Boston Red Sox to end the 7th inning and preserve their 8-7 lead. A lot of explosive offense early in the ball game, and now some defense here on Money Tree in-time play. It's a good-looking 3-6-1 double play.
It is, and Dan, you were commenting just a little flip there by Iglesias, but it had something on it. He probably could have put more on it, but he was worried about his pitcher even getting to first base in time.
Yeah, that arm from Jose Iglesias is something pretty special. We saw that play earlier with Miller in the hole, and that ball, he just gives that little flick like you mentioned, but that ball gets over there.
Gene Victorino leads off, takes ball one from Charlie Furbush. Charlie came on last inning following Danny Farquhar. Victorino, Pedroia, and Ortiz. One and one. Breaking ball, jumps on it, deep drive, left field, down the line, it's fair, it is gone. Shane Victorino leaves the yard, his fourth homer, 22nd RBI. And how about for the Red Sox? That's their fifth home run tonight. Yikes.
And it looked like Charlie maybe trying to steal a strike with his breaking ball. He ended up leaving it in the middle of the plate, 79 miles an hour.
The flying Hawaiian hits one right to the folks in Edgar's. They couldn't hold on. How about the Red Sox 3, 4, 5 hitters starting now here with Pedroia. 8 for 15, 3 homers, 6 ribbies, and 5 runs scored. Pedroia on the home run train. Back in the third. Carter Capps heating up. That's hit hard right to Nick Franklin. Retires the Red Sox second baseman, one down. It's known as the Edgar game this Sunday. Root Sports has Game 4 of the 95 American League Division Series against the Yankees. You can relive all the great moments as the Mariners refuse to lose on Edgar Martinez's 7 RBI night. Here from Lou Piniella, Norm Charlton, and many more. Going to look back at one of the great comebacks in playoff history. Ortiz tonight. Home run, double, fly to center, double.
Probably Charlie's last batter. You have Napoli waiting on deck. Carter Capps, the right-hander, getting loose in the pen.
Oh, and 2. It's one more hit to tie Harold Baines. The most hits as a DH. Three-hit night for Big Papi. One and 2.
Talking about Harold Baines, David Ortiz blow stands a lot closer to home plate than Harold Baines did. I remember him being way off the plate.
Diver.
Big time diver.
Base hit, and he has tied Harold Baines most hits as a DH. Big Papi, David Ortiz, the former Mariner, with a 4-hit night.
Solid base hit back up the middle, even with the shift on. We've seen him in the last 2 days hit the ball through the shift. Good effort by Nick Franklin right off the end of his glove. And that will be it for Charlie.
Pitching change coming. Carter Capps will take over when we get back. Great editing work as per usual by the folks here at Root Sports. 9-7. Red Sox here in the 8th inning. Home run by Shane Victorino and a base hit by David Ortiz. He's on base right now, and that's what's going to be greeting Carter Capps.
Carter, 31 appearances, a 6.42 ERA, 40 strikeouts, only 9 walks. Carter at times this year has had a tough time with left-handed hitters. So you see that batting average up over 300. Be curious to see if he comes up with some sort of changeup or a split or something, Dan, to help him out with the lefties over the course of the winter. I mean, he has an overpowering fastball. Time he's 97, 98.
Yeah, something off speed that he can.
The only thing he has is that
zone.
slider, and it's a little bit flat, kind of going right into the left-handers.
Yeah, unless he gets comfortable backdooring that pitch, you really want something that's going to run away from him.
Batter's Mike Napoli. Two-run homer back in the third. 1 for 4 night.
Couple of sliders there below first 2 pitches to Napoli. I wonder what the percentage is. The guy coming in from the bullpen, that first pitch always typically is something off speed, slider. Rarely do they throw that first pitch heater in there.
I would agree.
1-1 to Napoli.
Although I was surprised after he missed with the first one that he would throw it again, because he's obviously more comfortable throwing his fastball and he needs a strike.
The other game in progress. Mets are now 10-5 on top of the Giants in San Francisco, top of the 8th. Mariners bottom of the 8th. They're going to have the lower third of the order. Saunders, Zunino, and Ackley. Ortiz took off. And he got an easy stolen base, but Napoli strikes out. Route number 2. This is a jump and a half here. Third stolen base for David Ortiz, 3 for 3.
Well, that's just timing Carter Capps and getting a big jump.
Well, on Carter's side of it, he's worried about Napoli as they're going to put Saltalamacchia on. And I bet he wasn't even looking over there at all. Not expecting Ortiz to go anywhere. Because what did he take? 3 or 4 steps before Carter even started?
Yeah.
Told 7 steps before the ball was released.
That's a pretty good jump.
Like your chances. Iglesias, the right-hand hitter's next. So here's Iglesias. Second inning single, a strikeout, a couple ground outs since then. Two down here in the 8th. Two on for the Sox here in the 8th. Pitch swung on and over the head of Miller. Here comes Ortiz. He's going to score. It's a 10-7 Red Sox lead. Iglesias with an RBI's 13th, his second hit tonight.
Well, Mariners with double digits last night. It looks like the Red Sox have done it to the Mariners tonight. 10 runs now for the Red Sox. This is a slider. It looks like he cues it right off the end of the bat. Little backup slider. Didn't have much movement to it and left it up in the zone. As he cues that one out in the left field. Little flare.
Brings up Brock Holt, the third baseman. First and third situation with 2 outs. There's another base hit, 11-7. Iglesias to third. Brock Holt with his second RBI tonight.
Again, it brings out Eric Wedge, going to make another pitching change.
Carter Capps roughed up here in the 8th. Lucas Litke just called up about 48 hours, a little less than 48 hours ago. He's going to take over when we get back. brought to you by BNSF Railway, the engine that connects us. By Linwood Honda, experience the difference. And by CenturyLink, your link. So what's next? Red Sox pouring it on. The sun has long since departed. It was a beautiful sight. Not so pretty is what the Red Sox have done here in the latter stages of this ball game. 3 runs here in the top of the 8th to make it an 11-7 lead for Boston. First appearance for Lucas Litke. Called up. Was in uniform for yesterday's game. Jackie Bradley Jr. is the 8th hitter to the plate here in the 8th inning. Two. Iglesias, he's at third, and at first Brock Holt. And Bradley swings and misses. Zanito throws down to first, and that completes the strikeout and the 3rd out of the ball game. Boston adds 3 more runs and expands the lead to 11-7.
Work cut out for them. They need 4 in just 2 innings to do it. Hi, everyone. Angie Mentic here with an update on the big 3 down in the minors. We'll start with Danny Holtz in the news. Well, it's not great, but it's not bad either. He's having continued problems with his rotator cuff. They met a few days ago. They thought they were going to shut him down 10 to 14 days. They were going to have another meeting with the doctors. They have had that, and they said, all right, look, we are going to shut him down 10 days, and then we're going to reevaluate things then. As for Taijuan Walker, well, he's an absolutely fantastic. He is 2-0 so far. He is the youngest player in the PCL. How about this walk to strikeout ratio? 5 walks to 16 strikeouts. His ERA 0.56. All right, as for James Paxton, well, last night he threw a complete game shutout, and Tacoma beat Tucson 7-0. He gave up just 5 hits, tossing his first shutout. He threw 104 pitches, 66 of them for strikes. Pretty impressive night for James Paxton. And again, Taijuan Walker's been very good as well. Guys?
Good report there, Angie. Thank you very much. Junichi Tozawa takes over. 27-year-old, 5'11", 200 pounds. Yokohama, Japan in his 2nd year with the Sox.
And he's pitched a lot, 41 appearances before the All-Star break.
Been up and down with Boston since 09. Went 1-1 last year with a 1.43 ERA. Saunders leads off. Saunders, Nino, and Ackley. here in the 8th. Mariners haven't scored since the 3rd inning. Been held to no runs and 4 hits since that time. First 3 innings, they scored 7 runs on 7 hits. Saunders tonight a walk, RBI triple, and a strikeout. Two and one. Two-one pitch here to Saunders. Back in the inside corner. Count evens at 2-2. Full count. On deck, Mike Zunino. Going back, Iglesias can't get it. A little looper drops in. Base hit for Michael Saunders. His 2nd hit tonight.
And a good start for the Mariners. Need some base runners. Down by 4. Michael fighting off the fastball. 93 miles an hour on the inside corner. You can see him try to pull his hands in tight to his body, trying to find a way to get the barrel to it. Bring up Mike Zunino. Mike looking for his first base hit of the evening.
Strikeout, a ground out to short, and a strikeout looking for Mike tonight. Woo. Fist, 1-1.
It's like a fairly deceptive delivery from Tazawa. Mike looks like he kind of speeds things up at the end. The ball really jumps out of his hand.
There's a little run to it too. That one in on the hands of Zunino.
One pitch to Mike. Two and one. Two-one pitch. High fly ball, left center field. Bradley takes control. One out. Stars align to the 2013 Major League Baseball All-Star Game as the best of the American League take on the National League's top players. Don't miss all the action next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific on Fox. Still busy doings out at the pen. It's Dustin Ackley. Stands in here against Tozawa. Ackley tonight walking run scored in the second. Ground out to short in the third. Ground out to second in the sixth. Two and out. Pitch to Ackley with Saunders at first. Fouls it back. These teams have combined for 18 runs, 27 hits. Red Sox hit 5 home runs. The Mariners have hit 2.
Mariners have been swinging the bats well. They did again tonight, but the pitching's had a tough time. 7 runs and 12 hits with their pitching most of the time, especially with Iwakuma getting the start. You would think that would be a win for him, but down 4 runs.
Shoots one by Napoli in the right field. Saunders will get all the way around to third. Base hit Ackley. Let's see him hit the ball hard. So 1 out. Runners at the corners. Back to the top of the order. Brad Miller.
Did a good job turning on a fastball. Fastball at 93 miles an hour. And hits it by the first baseman, Napoli. Dustin checks in with a base hit. He walked earlier in the game and scored a run. And that turns the lineup over again. Brad Miller, 3 hits tonight, including a couple of doubles.
Great speed on the base paths with Saunders at third, Ackley at first, and Miller runs well. Additionally, first pitch, ball 1. 3-run double in the second inning for Miller. In the sixth, an infield hit and a hustle double down the right field line. That was in the sixth. Hit by Ackley is the Mariners' 13th hit. Hit 2 to Miller. Top of the zone. One and 2 to Miller. Two balls, 2 strikes.
Zawa got Miller with that 1-2 fastball to move his feet below. See if he goes with something soft away, that split finger pitch.
Yeah, I think so.
3 hits tonight for Miller. He's taking his batting average from 229 to 282. Two and 2 to Brad Miller. Full count.
And there it was. Split in the dirt. Able to lay off of it. Nick Franklin waiting on deck. Nick is 1 for 4 tonight.
I got to believe Tsuzawa will go at him with a fastball here. 3-2. He does not want to walk him.
Miller looking for his first big league home run. 3-2 the count. Chopped it down to Napoli. Take the out. Run scores. Pick up an RBI. His 4th of the night. 2 down here in the 8th. Saunders scoring on a play, and down to second goes Ackley. So an 11-8 ball game. Franklin at the plate with Ackley at second base. Front 1-1.
I'm talking about the league adjusting to Zunino after the home run. Red Sox have thrown a lot of breaking balls, changeups, splits to Nick Franklin. They've seen what he can do with a fastball, so they're making a switch on him, and that's part of the deal. You have to make adjustments back, and the good news for him is he's been able to hang in there and check in with a hit or two. Another breaking ball.
And not only they've thrown some off-speed blow, but in fastball counts as well.
Come on, Nick, hit the ball.
Ball 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runner at second. Run in. 11-8. Red Sox. High heat. And Nick strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. Strangeletta here in the 8th. Here comes the 9th. Sox with a 3-run lead. Sox. And a marathon game here. Are you the ultimate Northwest Mariner fan in the state of Alaska? Then Root Sports is looking for you throughout the month of July. Get a photo on Instagram or Twitter with hashtag UltimateNWFanAlaska. showing why it should be you. It'll get you entered to win a trip and a VIP experience right here at Safeco Field on Mariners Fan Appreciation Night in September. For official rules, go to rootsports.com. There's Daniel Nava, top of the order here against Lucas Littke. Littke came on to get the final out, a strikeout of Bradley to end the eighth. Top of the order, Nava, Victorino, and Pedroia. 1-1 to Nava. Doing one, Lucas Littke, sixth Mariner pitcher, a long time ago, much earlier in the evening. Sashi Wakuma started, went 3 innings, 8 hits, 6 runs all earned, no walks, and 3 strikeouts. Tough outing for him. Outside corner, 2-2. Since then, Bevan, Farquhar, Furbush, Caps, and now Littke. Breaking ball and hung up in the air and got smacked into center field. Base hit.
And as Dave mentioned, trying to go inside, probably want to throw this down, maybe even bounce it, but instead he hangs. It's about belt high. It's able to jam him, but it's a base hit because the ball was elevated.
First hit for Nava tonight. He went 2 for 5 last evening. Here's Victorino, homered on a 1-1 pitch down the left field line into Edgars. Victorino. Victorino played in a couple of World Series with the Phillies, beat Tampa Bay in 08, lost to the Yankees in 09. Right field for Saunders. 1 out. Brings up Pedroia, 2-run homer and RBI single.
In-game box score for the Red Sox, and it's a good one. All the starters with at least 1 hit. David Ortiz, a big night for him tonight, 4 for 5.
All 1 to Pedroia. Mariners will have Ibanez, Morales, and Seager 3, 4, and 5 in the bottom of the 9th. Two 2-0. Late night for the Red Sox fans back east. 1:46 right now Eastern time. Three and up. Five home run night for the Sox. Ortiz, Pedroia, Napoli, Bradley, and Victorino. 2 home runs for the Mariners, both by Kendrys Morales. 3-1. Hit up to Miller. To Miller. Franklin. Smoke. They get the double play they needed. So here we go. Last licks here in the bottom of the ninth. Co-leader in RBIs for the Mariners, Raul Ibanez. The other co-leader, Kendrys Morales, and Kyle Seager coming up.
The Mariners trail by 3, 11-8. Hi, everyone. Angie Mentink here. Coming up on our post-game show, what is that Mike Zunino wears around his neck? We'll let you know. We're inside the clubhouse talking to the players, the skipper as well. We'll see how Bill did on his local Ford Keys to the game. And the U.S. men's soccer team was in action. We'll let you know how they did. Back upstairs.
Thank you, Angie. Here we go. Koji Uhara, closer for the Red Sox. They've had a lot of personnel in that spot this year. Started out with Joel Hanrahan. He went down with Tommy John surgery. Then Bailey, then Tizala, then Bailey again. Now Uhara's the guy.
Uhara's pitched well, though. 2-0 record, a 1.93 ERA for him. Opponent's average just 170. Not overpowering, throws a lot of strikes.
Like 53 strikeouts to just 8 walks, Blow. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he throws a lot of strikes, and again, his fastball is not overpowering. He'll mix in a split and a breaking ball with that.
Both teams have used 6 pitchers this evening. Raul Ibanez to lead it off. Big shift on for him. Strike 1. Missed by Raul. 0-2. Uhara, 38 years old, from Osaka, Japan, lives in Tokyo. I saw Koji in Texas last year, 37 games. Slow roller. A shovel to Napoli. That's by Holt, the third baseman, that shifted over. 1 out. Uhara was with Baltimore from 09 into the 11 season and then went to Texas. Prior to that, he made his bones in Yomiuri over in Japan. Morales, what a night. 2-run homer in the first, solo blast in the third, a base hit to center field in the fourth. Holt charges. Got him 2 outs. Nice play.
A couple of weak ground balls by the Mariners. This is the second one off the bat of Morales. They cued it off the end of the bat. A good play by Holt.
Made that play look pretty easy, Blow, but that's not an easy play.
No, it's not. And again, he started as a third baseman, but in this inning, he's actually been at second and short because of the shift that the Red Sox have put on. Bring up Kyle Seager. Kyle 2 for 4 tonight. His average up to 289 now.
On 1 here to Kyle. They get a shift on for him as well. 1-1 the count. Tough night for Raul. 0 for 5.
Started off good for the Mariners. 7 runs through the first 3 innings.
Popped up. Saltalamacchia has the play, and that's a ball game. 11-8 as the Red Sox even the series at 1-1. They do it with some East Coast power. 5 home runs tonight.
That's a good offense from the Mariners. Brad Miller drives in 4 runs tonight. Ended up with 3 base hits, and Kendrys Morales also 3 hits. 2 of those home runs. He drove in 3. But right now, Iwakuma, the last 5 starts, he is limping into the break, Dan.
Yeah, great to see some of those young Mariner hitters continuing to get hot and confidence. But you're right, Mike. The home run for Boston tonight was the big run producer, and they got to Iwakuma for 3 of those 5 home runs that they hit.
Fairly typical length of game for the Boston Red Sox. It was a mere 3 hours and 44 minutes. Get you out to center field. Standing by to get Mariners postgame underway is Brett Adam and Bill Kruger.
Gentlemen, yes, thank you. I'm pretty sure an unofficial stat. I'm not positive. My guess is the Red Sox lead the league, the entire major leagues, in length of game. Just a typical 9-inning game for them, which turns out to be the longest 9-inning game at Safeco this year. And that's what happens when you score 11 runs, 19 in the game, right, Bill? It takes a little while.
Yeah, it's a slow pitch softball game. All we need is a couple of beer kegs on the foul lines. This Red Sox team can wear you out with their offense. You saw it tonight. That's why they're #1 in baseball in runs scored, extra base hits, second in average, second in slugging. I mean, they can really make it happen up and down through the lineup, and that's without Jacoby Ellsbury featured tonight. So they have depth, they have power, they have speed, they can do a lot of things. The Mariners hung with them for a while. They showed some good things tonight, but not quite enough.
Yeah, 11 runs last night for the Mariners, 11 runs tonight for the Red Sox, and 5 home runs. The Mariners are, like you said, up 5-1 in this one. They scored in 8 consecutive innings. That is a new team record, but not enough as the guys with those beards, Red Sox, coming to swing today. Pedroia, he had a home run as well. Sox take it 11-8. We have reaction here from Wedge. Get to Bill's Keys, all coming up on the postgame.